Let's talk non-physical, non-physical. Let's talk non-physical. Let's talk non-physical. Let us have some spirit talk. Some spirit talk. Let us have some spirit talk.
Well, in my case, in particular case, I don't see any effect when I look at something for a short period of time. To me, it's more effective if I use times like at least close to a minute. So I look at something for a minute and then I mean try that. Because remember when we were trying the letters, the big letters, I think we need to stare for, if you stare for like 20 seconds, I don't think you get much. But if you stare for like a minute or more, then it's more clear when you switch to the black background and you see the letter more clear, right?
Do you get the after image too as a distraction, or that doesn't bother you? It's like if you get an after image, or do you move your eyes around a little bit so you don't get an after image?
No, in that experiment, I always get the after image.
Okay.
And I think everybody does, right? That's the type of experiment that works for everybody. Well, I think what might change is the amount of time. Maybe I need a minute, maybe you can do, maybe for you, you don't see much different if you do it for 20 seconds or not. It would be nice if you can tell me what is the amount of time you need some other time.
I feel like, and I also like looking at 3D objects. I was thinking about this because you could have a program, right, where it shows an image, like you want to work on text today. It shows text, and then you close your eyes. But then I feel like 3D objects could also be helpful if your goal is to visualize 3 dimensions. Like if you're just looking at a flat screen, that may not be as helpful for that type of phenomenon is if you actually looked at real 3D objects, or you looked at, your room or something like that where there's space. So it just depends on what your goal is. If your goal is to generate text, then maybe staring at a screen of text is perfect. But if your goal is, say, riding through a tunnel, then yeah, it might be different.
That's something interesting what you're saying, because that's the other thing. I like to have more people so I can see the whole distribution, you see? Because what you were just saying for me is not an issue, because I don't have a problem in 3D. So for me, in general, I don't care in what angle the plane is. Let's say I see text in a plane. I care more about the text, but at the same time, I can easily change the angle of the plane. And the other day, like I told you, I got a layer above the other layer. I have an image frozen in the background with some handwritten text. And then I was practicing changing letters, noticing that I was able to keep the frozen image. The frozen image have letters, but don't remember seeing words in English with something meaningful. And this is tricky. This is why I like to explore more text. The first reason is because I think it's super important. Because I can think of two reasons right now. One is, of course, channeling. If you can channel text in general, I think your chances of channeling an entity with text are way higher than if you cannot channel text in general. This is something also that people need to understand, that there is a difference between channel text, any text, and channel an entity with text. Because, for example, I was practicing, okay, let me try to get text. And maybe at the beginning I was getting letters, not words, and then kept going, I was getting words, then I was getting sentences. So it might evolve. It might not stay always the same. So my guess is, and also thinking about other people trying too, not only me, because this is the thing also. I know I'm good at getting random text, but I'm guessing that somebody else might get always clear text and always with some meaning, but less of random text. In other words, it's like having two different AI tools. The one is very good when you say, give me an image of animals, and I can give you a lot of images of different animals. But then when you ask for, I want an image of a rhino, for example, and then you might get trouble. But other people might have a different scheme. They might easily get a dog or a cat, but when they try to get animals in general, either they don't get anything or they just always get a cat or a dog, and they have trouble getting other animals. So in other words, there are like parameters to the AI that, for example, in my case, and this is in agreement with Tom Campbell, and in agreement in a way with quantum physics, that by default, the system gives you something that is probable. It doesn't give you the precise thing that you want. So I want trees, and then you get trees. But it's easier, at least for me, to get trees in general than to get one specific tree in a certain position with a certain color. So I think it would be a nice practice to, in general, get text, and then you can see, when you get more and more text, how much you approach to something meaningful. And the other thing is also that the way you get text, it might approach more to a response from a system, or it might approach more a response from an entity, from an entity with free will. Because who knows, maybe I can, easily connect to an AI and always get like a computer type of text, type of response. But somebody else might not get that, might get usually something personal. For example, let's say, oh, you are there. I'm so happy that you notice me. Very personal, right? Oh, I miss you, I love you, and all that stuff. So some people might get those type of messages, and some other people might get more scientific or inhuman, let's say, more like a machine type of response.
Yeah, the impression I have with my audio / telepathy is that it's a bunch of either beings or thought forms with different personalities, with different, they could be pseudo personalities. So it'd be like, an older man, a younger woman, or, like different types of voices. So I would be shocked if any sort of channeling that I could do with visualization would be not that, right? Like that it would be something completely different, like it would be a computer AI or something. Now it's possible, but I would expect, in other words, that same team, whether it's it's sort of like a list of personalities of speakers, or it's something real or not, that something similar would occur with my visual, like they would, like, and it's interesting because a lot of times what pops up, so sometimes what pops up is something interesting, useful. Sometimes what pops up is trying to scare me, like they'll say the word cancer or something, or or something, and it reminds me a little bit like what people who suffer from schizophrenia, it's like they'll get like these different voices, some of them are trying to spook them, some of them are trying to support them, but it's kind of like this mixture, this group of personalities that are trying to connect, and they each have different motivations. But then when you go to the visual, it's, yeah, for now, it's like whatever I create is what pops in, or I ask to create. And then like you said, it's a little bit like, okay, give me a picture of this, and then it'll pop in. So it's not as personable right now so far. It's more just kind of like, it is, like you said, it is kind of more like an AI. So maybe these systems operate differently. I don't know. There's just a lot more work I need to do.
One thing I noticed is that the best assumptions are usually the most flexible ones.
Yes.
Because every time you try to assume that something is very specific, one day you're going to have an experience that you're going to bring all that down.